What is going on, guys? I'm Nick, and today we're taking a look at another case for the iPhone 14 Pro, and it's going to be one from a brand called Armor. This is one that I also found while scrolling on Amazon one night, and I found it pretty interesting. The case, as well as something else about it, but let's go ahead and get right into it, and we'll talk about it as we go. So, starting with the packaging as always, really minimal, which I definitely enjoy. You get a little bit of Armor branding right here. This is a peek-through window at the case itself. And then up in the corner is where we get a look at that other feature. It says Upcycling Packaging right there. Let me go ahead. There we go. And if we work our way to the back, you can actually see what that means. Upcycling packaging. So they're doing more with the packaging than just holding the phone. If you follow these instructions right here on the back, you can actually turn this packaging into a little desktop speaker. You can stand your phone there and it's going to turn into a speaker. So I actually wasn't even aware of this until I had received the case, but just something I found super interesting. Now let's go ahead and get right into the case. So open the packaging up. We get it right here in the front. Phone pops out just like this. This case does come in at about $33. And from the start, it kind of does look like just a standard colored clear case. This does come in this sort of grayish color here, and it just standard full clear. It is obviously MagSafe compatible, which I definitely enjoyed to see. And it includes these grip kind of strips on the sides. If you guys know me, I'm a big fan of cases that include this kind of grip, as you can see right there. Working our way to the inside, you do get this kind of cushion technology that they have going on pretty much all around the phone, except for the bottom right there and where the buttons are at, obviously. But let's go ahead and grab the phone and just snap it right in. So here we have the iPhone 14 Pro in space black. We're going to start by inserting it in the case, volume side as always. And it's definitely a snug fit. And there it is. There is the case installed. It's a little dusty from being in the packaging. So I did test this case for a decent amount of time. I actually drop tested it by accident, and it saved my phone, so it already passed that for me. Let's go ahead and start with a little bit of protection. Looking at our camera lenses, you can see right here, definitely a solid camera lip that goes all the way around the cameras, and one that does cover the lenses fairly well, I would say. As you can see right there, a decent amount of protection right there. Working our way over to the front, you do have a nice lip, as you can see right there. I do have a tempered glass screen protector on this phone, so if you don't have one, you are going to be getting more of a lip, but if you are running one, this is pretty much what you're expecting to see. Looking over at the sides, starting with our volume button side, you can see it is a sort of, how do I explain that? It's kind of a thin cutout, and it's a little deep, so it can be a little difficult to get in there, especially if you don't have any fingernails, but definitely not impossible. Just something to take note of. We're looking at our volume buttons. They do both have air slits in them on either side. You can see right there. But they are still fairly tactical. Definitely not the easiest to press. So if you're a fan of something that's a little stiffer, this is definitely a nice case to take a look at. You do have that nice grip strip right there. And then moving over to the bottom, you get an oval shape cutout for your lightning port, which is extremely generous. Cutouts for your speaker and your microphone there, and then these two little dots are actually a lanyard cutout. Again, lanyard is not included, but if you wanted to add one, you definitely can without any modification to the case. Looking over at the right side, you get a little bit of Armor branding right there. I definitely don't mind that. I actually prefer when brands put their name or anything, symbols on the side of the case. More grip strip right here, the power button, which also has air slits cut into it. We can test that out. I do feel it's a little more tactical than the volume buttons, but again, still just a little stiff. Grip strip over on the top. And then at the very top of the case, there's really nothing going on up here. It's just a solid piece of this sort of TPU material that they're using. And then in this corner, where you see this kind of cutout right there, that is actually what they're calling their logo, like their minimalistic logo on the case. So you don't have to worry about any other branding except for this and that Armor on the side. Of course, this case is going to be MagSafe, but before we take a look at that, I do want to try the fit test on this. So most clear cases are either extremely rigid or pretty like flimsy when it comes to it, and this is one of those that is just going to be very rigid all the way around. As you can see when I'm pulling here, you do get a tiny bit of pull where the buttons are, but even then it's extremely stiff and definitely nice to see. I do also want to try the wobble test, so we can go ahead and check that out. Starting at the bottom, you can see where you're normally going to be typing. There's really not any wobble to take note of. It's not going to be until you get over to the top, in that top left corner as usual, where you do get a pretty significant amount of wobble. Then again, that's not really the case's fault. That's just because of how large the camera lenses are nowadays. But now we can go ahead and get into testing some MagSafe. Starting with the Spigen O-Mag ring as always, which is a phone grip and stand in one. Just snap it right on. You can see definitely some nice magnets. Did pop off right there, but it did take a pretty significant amount of force. And let's go ahead and try it out as a stand. The grip actually closed, didn't pop off or anything like that. There we go. Definitely some strong adhesion. I do also think that's thanks to the sort of silicone material on the back of this grip. It does seem to adhere nicely to the back of this sort of clear case material. That's something we've always taken note of when it comes to these. Not something to complain about though. Now we're going to go ahead and test out wireless charging as well as a little bit of strength using the Apple MagSafe battery pack. Snapping it on. You can see that it does charge just fine. And as for strength, definitely a decent amount of strength right there, simulating a drop. You can see that it actually did pop off, which is something that doesn't normally happen, but it did happen twice right there. So this is one of those cases that if you drop it with your MagSafe battery pack on, you might be dropping the pack. Not something that's too crazy to complain about, but just something to take note of. You can also see that that MagSafe battery pack is pushing up almost against the camera lens protector. So if you're using a bigger battery pack, that might hit it. Just something to take note of. And you don't want a battery pack to be sitting kind of on the camera lenses like that, like this or anything like that, overlapping, because then you have less adhesion to those magnets. So there's the battery pack. Now the Apple MagSafe leather wallet. This is a big one for me. I do tend to run this wallet a decent amount of time, so I need magnets that can reliably take care of my wallet for me. Do get that animation. And then looking back over at the back of the case, actually some really nice adhesion there, and it does not seem to be losing the wallet like it did the battery pack. So definitely loving this so far. I haven't used this case out in public with the wallet, but it's definitely some strong adhesion. As you can see right there, the leather seems to stick really nicely to the material of this case. So I would definitely trust this case with my leather wallet. Now our last MagSafe test, we're going to take this heavy anchor charging stand, which is meant to sit on your desk and you just prop up your phone on there. We're going to see if these magnets can lift it. Snap it on right there. Actually, let's go ahead and get rid of that first. And that was actually a fail. Pretty sure I just dented my desk below my mat, but I think this is one of the first cases that can't lift this stand. So we have, it can kind of lift it if I help it by putting it on the side first, but if I want to lift it like this, okay, it can lift it straight up. As you can see, the stand is no longer on the desk, but as soon as I go to turn it, oh, it got it that time. Maybe we had a fluke the first couple times. There it was, and it lost it again. So decent magnets for sure, but it's not going to be able to reliably lift this. It's not a full like make it or break it test. No one is really carrying something like that around, and no one needs magnets that are that strong. It's just a test I've been using on the channel to kind of see how strong magnets are. This is one of those cases that has some slightly weaker magnets, but nothing to scoff at either. So definitely still a big fan of the case. I'll give you guys one last look around and then we'll call it a day for this one. Going back to our camera protection right here, you can see we do get a decent amount of lip protection for those lenses. Nothing to worry about there. Moving over to the front, a decent front screen lip as well. I do have a tempered glass screen protector on here, so if you don't, you'll have more lip. Looking over at the volume button sides, that sort of slim cutout, a little difficult to get into, but not impossible at all. And then your volume sliders, and they do have air slits cut into them. This little grip strip right here, you can see definitely nice and textured. I love that right there. Looking at the bottom, you do get some lanyard holes right there. Lanyard is not included. Very generous cutout for your lightning port, and then accurate speaker and microphone cutouts right there, as you can see. Moving over to the power button side, you get a little bit of Armor branding, grip strip that goes below and above the power button. The power button also has air slits cut into it. Completely closed over on the top, as you can see. And that's going to be pretty much it for this one, guys. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you want to see more videos like this, remember to subscribe. If you have any recommendations for cases or just your thoughts on this case, be sure to leave them down in the comments below. And I will hope to see you guys in the next one.